call this meeting to order. Please bow your heads for the invocation. Dear God, please bless our elected officials. Grant them the wisdom to know and the courage to do what is right for all citizens. Amen.
Amen.
Roll call. John, we can forego that under the conditions. We're all here tonight. Approval of minutes for the budget workshop of May 27th. Motion would be in order.
I'll make the motion.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. Is there any discussion? Being not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. We also had another meeting, the regular city council meeting of June 1st. Is there a motion for those minutes?
I'll make the motion.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. Is there any discussion on those minutes? Being not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. We move on to audience comments on non-agenda items. Mr. City Manager?
City Clerk, is there anyone in the community room that would like to speak to audience comments?
No, no one's here.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Moving on to adoption of the agenda. Mr. City Manager, any changes?
I do have one change, add item number 9, consideration of waiving competitive bid requirements, Old City Hall.
Thank you. City Council, any changes? Being not, is there a motion to amend the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Motion's been made and supported. Any discussion? Being not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. Is there a motion for the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Motion's been made and supported. There's no discussion on the motion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. We move on to our public hearing on the fiscal year 2020-2021 city budget. We need a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing on the proposed fiscal year 2020-2021 budget at 7:03 PM.
Support.
Motion's been made and supported. Any discussion? Being not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? The motion has passed. Mr. City Manager.
Tonight, you're scheduled to hold this public hearing in accordance with the city charter for the adoption of the fiscal year 2020-2021 budget. The total city budget is $10.5 million, including a $4.4 million general fund budget. The city council held 3 workshops in the month of May to go over this budget, and the budget in front of you tonight includes changes made during those workshops. The budget also calls for a tax levy of 16.0873 mils and includes a set aside of 1.63 mils for our street improvement program and a total trash collection for the residential trash of a fee of $219.32 annually for those on the residential trash contract. And with that, I would turn it over, again, ask the city clerk, is there anyone in the community room that wishes to speak to the city budget?
No, we're all good here. Thank you.
Okay. Council have any comments at this time? If not, a motion to close would be in order.
Make motion to close the public hearing on the proposed fiscal year 2020-21 budget at 7:04 PM.
Support.
It's been made and supported. Any discussion on the motion? Being not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. The public hearing is closed. We move on to items for consideration on the amended agenda. We have 9. The first one being consideration of adopting resolution number 2020-3, adoption of the fiscal year 2020-21 city budget. Mr. City Manager.
As I mentioned during the public hearing, the total city budget, including all funds, is $10.5 million. $4.4 million of that is the general fund. We have a tax levy of 16.0873 mils. as council is aware, we were conservative with this budget due to many of the events going on now, including COVID-19. We adjusted not only our Act 51 revenues, but also our state shared revenues by about 20%. That's a little more conservative than what some of the numbers the state is using, but not knowing the full extent of this, we felt it better to be conservative. And so with that, happy to answer any questions you may have on the budget.
Is there a motion before discussion?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 2020-3, which adopts the City of Richmond fiscal year 2020-2021 budget, appropriates the necessary sums for each fund of the city, adopts the 2020 through 2026 capital outlay program, directs the levy of taxes and fees for municipal purposes, and directs the preparation of the tax roll and collection of taxes.
Support.
Motion's been made and supported. Any discussion? As the city manager said, we had a lot of discussion, 3 long meetings, and great information again from the administrative staff, and good questions from the city council on behalf of the community. So I think we've got a great budget here. Like you said, very conservative, not knowing what's going to happen. So. Any other comments? Being that, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. Item number 2 is consideration of approving Tifa tax base sharing agreement. Mr. City Manager?
The City Council is scheduled to consider entering into a tax-based sharing agreement with the City of Richmond Tax Increment Finance Authority. We've been doing this since fiscal year 2012-13. We have been lowering the amount or percentage most years. This year, we are asking that Council and Tifa maintain the proposed sharing agreement of 15% of the capture.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the capture assessed value sharing agreement between the City of Richmond, Tifa, and the City of Richmond for fiscal year 2020, 2021, and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement.
Support.
It's been made and supported. Who supported that?
Michael.
Michael? Any discussion? Again, a lot of discussion during our workshops on the budget. Glad to see that it's going down rather than up. It's a good sign for our community. Oh, I'm sorry. Is there any audience comments on this?
Karen, any audience comments?
No comments.
Thank you.
Okay, back to the table. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. Item number 3 is consideration of adopting the 2021 city fees schedule. Mr. City Manager.
Council is scheduled to consider adopting the fiscal year 2020-2021 city fee schedule. There are changes to this year's fees, just to kind of essentially cover our costs. There's a couple in the assessing office, 2 in the police department, a few in the recreation department, and then sanitary, sewer, and water departments.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the City of Richmond fiscal year 2021 fee schedule as presented by the city manager.
Support.
What's been made and supported, take your pick on that one. Any discussion? Again, discussion at the workshops. You guys gotta be a little quicker. I don't know which one of you was that. Was that you, Emily, or Jamie?
It was me.
Yeah, okay. Any audience comments on this?
No comments.
Thank you. Anything else, council? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. Item number 4 is consideration of adopting Resolution 2020-4, a resolution to waive penalties for filing property transfers late. Mr. City Manager?
Council is scheduled to consider approving a resolution that would waive the penalties for untimely and non-filed property transfer affidavits. In the City of Richmond, the interest and penalty is not levied, nor has it ever been levied in previous years. A survey of municipalities in Macomb County found that 75% of the municipalities handle it the same way that we do, which is not assess penalties for that. However, as part of our AMR review that the assessor will be going through this year, which is done once every 5 years, part of the AMR review is that they ask if we have a resolution kind of formalizing the fact that we don't have these penalties. Since we've never had that in the past, some years I think we've been marked down for that. So this year what we're going to do is ask the council adopt this resolution which formalizes past practice of not charging somebody a late fee if they didn't file their property transfer affidavit within 45 days of the sale. City Assessor Colleen Cargo is here to answer any questions you may have. But again, this kind of formalizes past practice.
Very good. Colleen, did you want to add anything on to what the city manager had to say about that?
No, it's just a formality at this point.
Okay. Okay. Why, I have a question. Why did they have the law if nobody is, pursuing the charges?
There, a lot of times it's with the commercial and industrial where because that's a higher fee than
Okay.
it is for just residential. In the bigger municipalities, they do charge that only because they do have a higher rate of those people not filing those property transfer affidavits. It has
Okay.
to be within that 45-day timeframe. They have the staff to be able to monitor that, whereas when you have a small municipality, I maybe have, if I have 2 that are late in a maybe 2-year period, I really don't have a lot, so going through the procedures of having to calculate the days and things like that.
So it's not necessarily something that people are doing on purpose?
No.
Okay, it's just that
No, it's just,
it
it
gets
has to be
lost.
filed within that 45 days, and if it isn't filed I guess a lot of times it's, if you don't have anything, people don't file it. So if you have some sort of a penalty, they would file it on time, but very rarely do we here in the city get those late filings.
Okay, very good. Any other questions? We have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed resolution to waive penalties for untimely and non-filed property transfer affidavits.
Support.
It's been made and supported. Any discussion? Any audience comments?
No comments.
Thank you. Back to the table. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. Thank you, Colleen. Item number 5, consideration of lot split request, Lakeshore Building for 69053 Grove Street. Mr. City Manager?
Council is scheduled to consider approving a lot split request from Lakeshore Building and Holding on 69053 Grove Street. This property was recently purchased, and they tore down a old home that had been a frequent flyer on our code enforcement list, and now have a large vacant lot. The lot would support 2 smaller parcels, and they have applied to split the parcel into 2. The resulting lots would both be 65 feet, 33.33 by 148 feet, 5 inches. And so the minimum lot size for this area would be 60 by 120. So both lots are in fact large enough to meet the minimum lot size, and our recommendation is for approval.
Very good, thank you. Is there a motion before discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve the lot split request from Lakeshore Building and Holding LLC for parcel number 07-03-35-456-005, 69053 Grove Street.
Support.
It's been made and supported. Any discussion?
I was surprised they met the requirements. Just driving by that lot, I was surprised you could get 2 lots out of that.
Yeah.
Not gonna be very big, but they meet the requirements.
Amazing how many lots in town, but ours less than 60 feet.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
some of the neighborhoods, yeah.
Right.
But anyhow, yeah. One of the questions I have is the multiple zoning district does not have a minimum lot standard. Well, I understand that because it's supposed to be multiple.
Correct, yes.
So are we going by the neighborhood? So if this happens?
We're going by, this all used to be zoned R3.
Yeah,
In the last rezoning, rezoned it multiple family. So we went by the underlying district that was before this.
Okay.
You know, and the neighborhood closest to it is R3.
is that something that should be in our ordinance, or our zoning, I should say? That we would go by,
Certainly you could. I think more it makes sense in this case, and I can't think of why it wouldn't make sense to do that, but I guess that'd be more of a question for the city planner.
yeah, okay,
And we can check on that.
yep. Okay, any other discussion? Any audience participation on this item?
None on this item.
Okay, thank you. Back to the table. The tables. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. Item number 6 is consideration of lot split and combination request for the Dick Huvar Land Incorporated for various properties on Main Street and 31 Mile Road. Mr. City Manager.
City Council is scheduled to consider approving a lot split and combination request from Dick Huvar Land Incorporated for the below referenced parcels surrounding the dealership on Main Street and including parcels that have road frontage on 31 Mile Road. As part of the future expansion of the dealership and to allow the delivery and storage of new vehicles, it is now necessary to combine all these parcels and have their existing commercial property, so they can go forward with their plans. This has been kind of an ongoing effort the last few years in front of Planning Commission through various rezonings, lot splits, combinations. We believe this will be the last where to the west of their current storage lot that they expanded into, they're taking the next 2 residential parcels, cutting them in half and giving the north half, or combining the north half with the dealership parcel. This is part of an overall site plan that was contingent upon the approval tonight, and a rezoning at the planning, or at the council meetings, the next couple of meetings, was all part of a overall site plan approval done by the Planning Commission at their June meeting. Again, it brings a lot of little parcels together, puts them all together so that you have one dealership under one parcel. And it's better for everyone involved, Troy, Colleen, to get this all done.
Thank you. Is there a motion before discussion?
I make a motion to approve the lot split combination requested by Dick Huvar Land Incorporated for the referenced parcels.
Support.
It's been made and supported. Any discussion?
If I could say, a lot of the commercial businesses that we have that are buying up the smaller parcels around them, any of the, properties around them, as part of the CAMA data standards that we are going through for assessing, everything has to be uniformly assessed. And when we have these where they have 8 or 9 parcels all owned by the same company, it's best to have them all in one parcel so that they can be uniformly assessed. You can't have 6 or 7 little parcels with the driveways and sidewalks and buildings crossing over parcel lines. Even though they are owned by the same company, it's best to have them all into one parcel so that they can be properly assessed. And that's one of the things we're trying to make sure that through all of our CAMA data standards that we're doing is we're assessing them properly.
Very good. There was the resident that owns the property west of this property, Gerald Kazel. He has multiple zoning there, and I believe we have a multiple building back there. And the concern generally was that, you're gonna have all this parking lot, how are you gonna protect my property? So that was discussed, and part of the site plan approval was the mutual agreement between the Huvar Group and Mr. Kazel, and our administration, Troy as our planner and John. It was very clear that we want it taken care of as best as possible, blocking that commercial use from that multiple. So hopefully that all works out. That was really the only thing that I remember, John, at the meeting that
Yes.
we really were concerned about was that area. Otherwise, it looks pretty much like what was done at that last piece of property that was done, where you have all the cars now behind St. Peter's area there. Nice fence, nicely done. Lights don't seem to be obtrusive from what we've heard. Nobody's complained about it, so, and that was looked at again on the plan to make sure that it all fell within the area there. It was done properly, so. I believe it was unanimous by the planning commission at that time. Anything else? Is there any public comments on this item?
No comments.
So, back to the tables. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. Item number 7, consideration of adopting memorandum of understanding for the fire contract with Richmond Township. Mr. City Manager?
The City Council is scheduled to approve a memorandum of understanding between the City of Richmond and Richmond Township relating to the 2019-2024 fire contract. As administration has discussed with council, previously Richmond Township had been reviewing their contracts with neighboring fire departments and has decided to make a change. About a month ago, Richmond Township asked Memphis and Richmond to provide estimated costs to cover the sections that up to this point were covered by Armada. And Richmond would add essentially 3 sections of the township south of School Section Road, and then all properties along School Section Road. We've provided the attached memorandum of understanding and the also attached the budget computation on how that will affect the upcoming 2001 fire contract. And Richmond Township approved it, so now it is to the council for your consideration. If approved, it will go into effect July 1st, 2020.
Chief Spence, glad to see you tonight. Any other comments at this time?
Just here to answer any questions.
You don't. Is there a
Pretty
motion
much
before further
explained it.
discussion?
I make a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between the City of Richmond and Richmond Township relating to the 2019-2024 fire contract and to add properties along School Section Road and south within the Township of Richmond.
Support.
What's been made and supported? Discussion? If any?
Is it,
It's something that's been worked on evidently. It is not something that we pursued. We were asked to be part of the discussion, and it's led into this, to tonight. Chief?
Correct.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I just have a question into the thought process on School Section Road. A lot of times when you have division of responsibilities, one side of the road is on one side and one side's on the other. It looks like, and based on the background brief as well, City of Richmond Volunteer Fire Department has the entire School Section Road on both sides of the road.
That's what's happening now.
Correct.
Correct.
If
Prior
this-
to this, Memphis had both sides. Richmond Township decided to change, and now Richmond Fire will have both sides of school section.
Okay, because it was, all right. 'Cause
Okay. Anything else? Is there anybody in the audience that wanted to speak to this?
No comments.
Thank you. Back to the tables. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. Thank you, Chief. Item number 8 is consideration of establishing a quarterly roundtable meeting date. Mr. City Manager?
Council is being asked to schedule the next quarterly roundtable meeting. The quarterly roundtable provides an opportunity for the city council to discuss specific areas of concern and detail at a workshop format. The regular meetings we normally, in the past, have been scheduling them on the regular meetings when possible. The regular meetings in July are the 6th and the 20th. The regular meetings in August are the 3rd and the 17th. The July meetings are sometimes difficult to do that just because we normally will start meeting our regular meetings at 6 now. So you may want to keep that in mind as you look at your schedules.
Okay, would council drop our rules and discuss this before a motion is made?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Consensus? Okay. So, any pleasure by anyone? I noticed, John, you said it was the last Monday in July that I read? Last year?
Last year, yeah, it would have been like the 27th, yeah.
Okay. Would that work for everybody?
I will be
July
out of town.
20th?
You're gone?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh. Okay.
Do you want to do it on one of the council nights,
That's fine by me.
6 or 20?
The 20th works for
20.
me.
20th would
We just do it after council, so we're
Yes.
not coming in like at 4
No.
or something.
No. You can, but everybody else will be here after.
Appreciate that.
I'm also not opposed to a Wednesday. Wednesdays seem to work well for our budget meetings too.
Huh? Yeah? Yep.
I'd rather do it on the 6th or the 20th.
Okay.
I would prefer the 6th, but
I
I'm
have
out of
no
town
issues,
the
but I
6th.
would prefer, I think the
Okay.
6th might be a little
might be out of town.
early for us.
Yeah, and I don't know that I'm gonna, I'm not sure how that's gonna work for me, the 6th.
Yeah.
I was kinda worried about that to begin with.
Is there an issue with,
Calendar.
Can we
with the
look-
13th?
I'll make,
13th.
I can't do the.
Oh,
I
okay,
can't.
okay, can't do the 13th.
13th.
You can
Let's
do
look
the
at
Hey,
the
what about
20th?
August?
I don't
20th,
I can do any council meeting on Monday.
20th,
July or
20th, sound good?
Possibility I might not be back from,
Trying to think what we would have on the meeting. Is there any,
Usually it's a lot of cleanup from the budget. We had talked about looking at leaf pickup.
yeah. Well,
there's a possibility I might not be able to make the 20th. depending-
August 3rd?
Oh, no, August 3rd I can. I'm talking about July 20th.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
saying August 3rd.
I
Yeah,
can't do August 3rd.
Huh?
Oh.
I can't do August
Well,
3rd.
that's okay, we're gonna. One less vote against the lease.
The 10th?
Oh, come on.
Okay, well, we're going back to the 20th. Does that look like that's good for everybody?
No, that's,
Oh,
I
you-
might not be back
You
in
might not be.
time. We're
Well,
gonna.
you
tr-
might be.
You might be.
Well, we're driving
Can
from
we go one
Pennsylvania
more-
in the morning.
Monday into August and look at the 10th?
We could do,
Yeah.
or the 17th, right? The 17th would be our second meeting in August. Or is that too far, too late?
Well,
10th?
I can't do the 10th either.
Oh, geez.
Holy cow. Hey, give us a date.
I
wrong-
said Wednesday.
what's wrong with the
Wednesday. I can do
3rd?
all the Wednesdays except for that last week in July.
3rd won't work, or 3rd of August work?
The 17th?
3rd.
Oh,
No, the-
I won't be here.
Oh, okay, that's right, sorry.
July 15th,
July
the
15th.
Wednesday.
Yeah. I-
Do it.
I,
Fire
Fire-
department
Oh,
meeting.
yeah, there you go, fire
We
department.
got the good old days, don't we?
8th, I think, is maybe a little too early.
I
The
know.
29th, July
I'm
29th.
out of
Wednesday.
town. I'm out of town that whole week.
Uh-uh.
Sorry.
Well, you're out of luck, I think, because it's not working.
I know.
What
It's
about
not working.
22nd?
Well, I guess let's
Different
try the
meeting.
20th and,
Let's tip the
See
meeting.
what happens?
yeah. There's,
Or what about the 20?
Well, we can always change it.
24th?
If it becomes an automatic that you're not gonna be here, then we can take another look and see if we wanna change the date. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
4
and it-
weeks away.
yeah, part of it is
August,
the baseball tournaments are getting canceled and getting rescheduled and getting
Yeah.
canceled and getting rescheduled,
Yeah.
so.
24th?
So 20th, following the city council meeting?
Yep.
That'll be
that
fine.
sounds good.
I'll make a motion to schedule the special quarterly roundtable meeting of the city council, July 20th at the conclusion of the city council meeting.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. Any further discussion? Any audience comments on this? Thank you. Back to the tables. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, motion does pass. Miscellaneous matters from the city manager, sir.
Hold on, we got number 9.
Oh, I'm sorry, I wrote it down too low here.
Number 9.
Consideration of selling a property, is that what it's under?
Considering waiving competitive bid requirements.
Okay. Go ahead, John.
All right. Council is scheduled to consider approving a letter from the city manager recommending the waiving of competitive bid process for the sale of Old City Hall at 68225 Main Street. As council is aware, we've been working on a draft RFP, or request for proposals for the building. However, administration never finalized the details of that RFP. In looking at that, we were looking at a request for proposal that not only considered the price of City Hall, but also the end use of City Hall. We felt the end use was as important as the price. In the meantime, while working on that RFP, I have met with a local business owner who toured the facility. They also have toured another facility in town and have another potential location that they could go to. In order to kind of consider this business owner's offer in a timely basis, my recommendation is to waive the competitive bidding requirements of the charter and the ordinance in order for council to at least consider the offer. Just by waiving the competitive bid requirements doesn't require that you accept the offer, but allows you to consider it while at the same time allowing you to kind of still keep the best interest of the city in mind while meeting the timeline of this particular business owner who needs to get out of his current location and has a couple options. So it doesn't bind your hands that you'll accept his offer, but it allows you the chance to at least consider it. And due to the requirements of the charter and the ordinance, you would have to consider it at the following meeting, which would be our July 6th meeting, if you approve my recommendation letter.
Thank you. Is there a motion before discussion?
I'll make the motion to approve waiving competitive bidding requirements of the city charter and ordinance 64-401 for the sale of Old City Hall at 68225 Main Street due to no competitive advantage based on the written recommendation of the city manager.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. Any discussion?
No comment.
Thank you. You got ahead of me there. I got ahead of myself, so.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea just to see what the offer might be and to move forward with a possible local business that's already established here in Richmond. And we know what the business is. They can move in, hit the ground running, so to speak. And I think it gets a piece of property off the books if the offer is acceptable. It's worth listening to anyways.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else?
I just concur with what Dennis said, absolutely.
Yeah. I think we're under a time constraint here.
Yep.
And so, given that fact, I think the city manager is right. I don't see an advantage to waiting however long we'd have to wait and go through the expense of all the, charges we're gonna have on, and advertising and everything else on this. So I think this hopefully will work out, as you said, with, get that back on the tax rolls and help a business that's growing that needs much more room than where they are at this time. So, and there's no comment out there, so. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? It's unanimous. Motion passes. Moving on now to miscellaneous matters from the city manager. Sir?
This week, they began removing the pavement on Madison Street. They should be completed with that this week. They'll be adjusting structures, grading, making sure all of the base that's there is still in good shape. They'll also be, at some point, probably next week, milling Pierce Street, and then the paving on both projects should be done approximately at the same time.
Very good. We move on to council comments. John?
Nothing tonight.
Rob?
Nothing.
Emily?
Nothing, thank you.
Dennis?
Nothing.
Jamie?
I just would like to thank the city administration and our fantastic treasurer for a great budget season. I don't know what to call it, but it, I mean, we were under a lot of pressure, and all of you guys, I mean, things were, it was a crazy time, and we managed to get through it successfully and very conservatively, and I believe that we're doing a fantastic job at using the residents' money, because really that's what it is, their taxes, in appropriate purposes to serve them.
Fully agree. Michael?
I concur, and nothing more.
And I have nothing this evening. We moved on to closed session, which we do not have one this evening. Is there any other business of the city council? Being not, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. There is no discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion does pass. Thanks for being with us.